Okay, so continuing this, the weather's really bad here, but I believe this is the best time for me to do it because during the evening there's always people that come from work and too many people online in the evening, even in the afternoon. So I believe it early afternoon is the best time for me to do this. At least for now anyway. Hopefully I get at least an hour. And if I'm lucky, get two. The reason I'm doing Sherlock Holmes so much is because Gravity Rush 2 is extremely long. I had no idea it was that long. And most of the missions are asinine missions, which aren't really important. They're just there to give you items. That's why originally I had that game at 8.7. I had to drop it like 2 points simply for the ridiculous missions I have to do and certain things that shouldn't be included within the story. So I dropped that down to 8.5. I believe 8.4 is the standard, like you would have it. 8.4, 8.5 is standard. You would have it if you're a fan of Gravity Rush or if you're a fan of that type of gaming. But at best, I would say if you're not a fan, that game is an 8 all around. Because there are lots of things after you get past the midpoint or even late game that aren't necessary anymore. It's like they extended the lifespan of that game, which it didn't need to extend for that many hours because they didn't have anything else to think about. So that's why I had dropped it down from 8.7 to 8.5. And I believe if I keep playing it and I start to get even more bored, I might drop it down to 8.4. Because collecting items and unique outfits and talismans is one thing, but those things aren't interesting if I'm getting bored. So I think I might drop it to 8.4 today, or whenever I get to play it again. But for right now, I'll do this. So our task is to continue an investigation of the murder of Peter Carey. We have 3 suspects, possibly a 4th. Of course, Holmes don't have 3 suspects, possibly a 4th. He only has 2 suspects. One, the kid that showed up and said, I didn't kill anyone. And 2, the person who he truly suspects is the killer, which is not the kid. He's hoping to lure the killer using the kid. I mean, I kind of figured that from the very beginning. That's what Holmes is planning to do, and to find out who this person is. He might, if I'm a betting man, he's probably assuming it might be an associate of the father, who's a friend of Peter Carey's, a falling out, so to speak. At least that's what Holmes is probably getting at. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, because this is a Sherlock Holmes story. It's not as simple as a direct revenge for taking something that doesn't belong to you, or for screwing someone over because of bankruptcy. So, what happens? Why this all happen? So, like I did with Return of the Obra Dinn, I'm going to take it upon myself this time. I could have done this from the very beginning, but I'm going to take it upon myself this time to grab a piece of paper, and I'm going to write on that piece of paper all my spotlights and things connected to those spotlights, because that's what you have to do in investigation stuff. So you don't have to do it. You could do things based on pure memory, but the mind is not that direct and that memorable. And anyone who just goes purely on memory alone, they're really wasting their energy, because the mind will forget certain things purposely so it could remember others. What's primary, what's most important. So it's important to write things down, even the mundane stuff, because the mundane stuff might come into contact later. So I'm going to use this sheet of paper. Maybe I should use a better one. Yes, this is better. This drawing paper is pretty good. This is just a regular scrap drawing paper. And for once, I'm going to actually use my own drawing stuff for something that's non-drawing. Let's see here. My circular tool. I'm going to use that to create spotlights. Random pencil. Not necessarily drawing pencil, because it's not needed. And I'm going to not make too big of circles, but I need some light for this. So I'll put at the top title, The Murder of Peter Carey. And game, Sherlock Holmes. Don't want anyone to one day come across this book and see Murder of Peter Carey. I'm plotting on killing a guy named Peter Carey. Some dumbass who doesn't understand I'm playing a game thinks something, who doesn't play games that wouldn't understand. For a reason, that's why anyone would come across this. I don't know, but I think in that type of field. Okay, so first circle, wife. Simply because she was the first person to be suspected. Give equal amount of space so I could have additional lines associated with circle number 2, space from circle number 1, circle number 3, space from circle number 2 and circle number 1, and the fourth circle, also space from circle 1, 2, 3, and they're spaced because each of them will have lines leading from them to represent activities that happen. So first line from the wife would be, the wife dislikes husband drinking and arguing. Second line from the wife, lied about gardener being husband. Third line, these are all part of this person's characteristics, what they do, how they behave, so on. Suspicious behavior about chest. Fourth line, rosary. On hand. And where they got married. Not very suspicious, but might come in handy. The least suspicious is that. But being a religious woman, she definitely don't like her husband drinking and arguing. And fifth line, she is unaware of visitors who saw Peter Carey, which is highly suspicious. 2 people came to visit him. First the murderer and then the punk kid. So that she has 5 lines from her. And from each of these lines are more extended lines. And it's very important that I spaced out the circles so I can understand it properly. And if things go well, certain lines from certain characters will connect to other lines from other characters. It's kind of like connecting the same thing Holmes was doing when he was connecting certain things together with regards to the killer. Okay, so Mystery Man. Strong or clever. Or should I put it? No. You do require a certain amount of strength to do something, regardless of what way you do that something. If you were to shoot a bow and arrow at Peter Carey's chest, or use a handheld ballista to shoot him straight into the chest, he falls backward into the wall, and then you proceed forward after he wrenches out his chest for you to stab him with a harpoon. You already have a puncture wound there. So the person clever, I would keep clever there. Okay, so that's strong or clever. Mystery Man. I've thought of different ways for Peter Carey to die without the javelin throw or without 2 mans using to stick him to the wall. Like the most obvious one would be the 2 men, but there's other ways for that to happen as well. For instance, Peter Carey could basically been stuck to the wall before by something else, and then the javelin got shoved into him. Let's say there was something behind Peter Carey that he fell backwards, got stuck onto the wall, and he stood there and got stabbed through whatever was on the wall then, either planted by the person or it was there the whole time and no one knew. But if something was on the wall, it would be a break on that thing from that wall for him to be stuck onto. So the only thing that would make sense is our boy, the Mystery Man, was playing a game with him and purposefully put something on that wall. So that's why I say clever, strong and clever. Could be. Second thing about the mystery person. Setup. Set up. Possibly. The kid. Less direct and less obvious. Footprints, so on and so forth. Third thing about the Mystery Man put down would be, I'm using Mystery Man, but it doesn't have to be a man. I'm just putting the word Mystery Man because it makes it simpler to see it from the point of view of to fool the audience in believing that it is a man when it's actually a woman. That's why I'm not ruling out the wife. But if the wife has a ballista or something, you see what I'm saying? Third thing about the Mystery Man, has a good vantage point in the woods to see who is coming and who's going. Could have a telescope like Holmes, binoculars, who knows. And probably the fourth, associated with possible initials. No, that's associated with possible bankruptcy. Bankruptcy of Dawson. I'll say Dawson more than Mr. Milligan. Why? Because Milligan is dead. Dawson might not be. And I believe that might be it. I could say he's a friend of Peter Carey's, but to own a ship doesn't mean you need to know the person that's the captain of the ship. But then back in the days, assets that you own. Well, Dawson and Milligan were bankers, or at least Milligan was banker. So their investment within the shipping industry um, was something that they decided to do. So they probably knew Peter Carey quite well. So I would put as its fifth new Peter Carey. New Peter Carey. Whether he was on that ship in 1883 on the high seas with Milligan is unknown, since the body of Milligan was never found, but it was told that Milligan was never discovered, as if everyone on the ship vanished and disappeared. Yet, Mr. Peter Carey managed to get home in the following year, but nothing of anyone else that was on that ship. So maybe Mr. Peter Carey was supposed to disappear along with everyone else on that ship, but he decided to not do that. He decided to keep a treasure that he probably stole from Wellington and keep it for himself. Or should I say, someone discovered it, decided to put it in the Wellington, and then he stole it back. Or maybe he didn't steal anything from the Wellington. Maybe what was stolen from the Wellington was originally stolen a long time ago, before Mr. Milligan got on that ship. What makes more sense is that they discovered treasure out at sea, and then Milligan thought it would be a good idea to pay off his debts with said treasure. But then he disappeared, and everyone else did. And you haven't heard from anyone at all. Very suspicious. If the ship actually went down and everyone disappeared, then Peter Carey wouldn't have returned. So there was a disagreement, obviously, and Peter Carey did manage to return, which means the others probably also managed to return, but have kept their low profile. But one of them they're all incognito. One of them probably thought it was a bad idea for Mr. Carey to have the treasure. Let's say one of them on the ship decided to leave the possession of the treasure in Mr. Carey's safekeeping, after another one stole it from the Wellington, because it was originally supposed to be kept in Mr. Carey's safekeeping when Mr. Carey stole it. I highly doubt Mr. Carey at 50 years old will have the capabilities to go in a place and steal something if someone didn't do it for him. So, yep, that's what I'm going with, Mystery Man. Now, the fourth is the corporation or business. The creditors. I'll call them the creditors. And I put upset about financial losses. And wants payback. Second line, I would say Mystery Man is associated with creditors. That's a bold one. I'll put next to that unsure. Third line, associated with bankruptcy. With bankruptcy and got wind of Nelligan fleeing. And fourth, possibly responsible for theft, or should I say possibly responsible for the boy trying to break in to Peter Carey's place, not because they told him to, because he might want to settle for his debts in his own way. So far so good, and that's 4. So civil bankruptcy and got wind of Nelligan fleeing. Also added to that, possibly responsible for murder of Nelligan. Emma Keyes, Keyse, Kesey. I said Keys before because sometimes in certain languages a letter could be silent, like S could be silent. It could be Keys. So the murder of Emma Keyes is the only thing that's rattling my brain. Her murder might not have to do with any of these things, but if Finian killed an Emma Keyes, it could have been people on that ship during, but there was nothing in the newspaper to say that, okay, he was missing, Nelligan was missing, the ship went down. So the murder of this woman couldn't have possibly be associated with the Sea Unicorn or Nelligan going missing. Otherwise, it would have been said she went missing on the Sea Unicorn. So this is a crime that happened after or before 1883. Mostly probably after, but not before 1884 when Peter Carey retired. Now, Emma Keyes could have been actually in the Wellington, saw the guy stealing the treasure, got killed for it. That person could be Mr. Keyes. So, I mean, that person could be Mr. Carey. So, the 4th person, we got the wife, we got the business creditors, we got Mystery Man, and Punk Kid. But I shouldn't put the Punk Kid as a suspect. He's more like a red herring. So he's not a suspect. He's just a red herring. So I'm going to put someone else in his place. I'll call this person the anomaly. And that's beautiful, man. I love anomalies, because they're simply there to throw in a monkey wrench. The anomaly. The best person in the entire game is the anomaly. The thing you would not suspect. The anomaly. I'll put could be man, woman, or them. Not necessarily the killer, a mystery man. I keep them separate, the anomaly separate from mystery man, because the anomaly is simply there to be a monkey wrench. Not a blind, but a monkey wrench. The anomaly itself can be the killer only if everything associated with the killer can be tied directly to the anomaly itself, and thus the anomaly would be the mystery man, and thus cross out the mystery man completely, and thus the anomaly is the killer. Anomaly is like something that doesn't fit. The mystery man fits, the wife fits, the business fits, the kid fits. The thing that's just circling around like a ghost does not fit. Let's see, what else? And the anomaly does not have a spotlight. I will put the anomaly is dim. The anomaly is dim, but not a spotlight. Wait, I gotta erase that. That's too big. The anomaly, I'll put very dim spotlight. Dim spotlight. Alright, so those are my 4 circles. Could be man, woman, but that doesn't mean anything. Yes, that doesn't mean anything. The anomaly is what I'm going to use to extract from each one of these 3 and piece them together. A factor that I'm not thinking about. Well, I did say a person could be using a crossbow, but that's associated with the mystery man, not with the anomaly. Unforeseen factors. The anomaly would be Emma. I would say Emma Kesey. Because that doesn't necessarily have to mean the mystery man killed Emma Kesey. He killed Peter Carey. But it's leading towards an association with Peter Carey. The cannibals, not so much. Finian. Finian wanted for murder. But if he was told to have committed murder, he would be in jail right now. Thus, he cannot walk around. So I'll just keep Emma for right now. But let's say the newspaper got it all wrong, and Emma Kesey isn't dead. They just believe she's dead. Told so by some bullshit artist. That's why I have could be man, woman, them. Associated with creditors. Associated with notebook, business. Associated with notebook, business. Associated with notebook, notebook. Engravement. And for that, I'll leave it right there at the moment. So, I could put the boy as part of the anomaly, but he's more like a blind. So what can I extract from a boy as an anomaly if he's a blind? Well, the father, he's the son of Milligan. Normally could be Milligan is not dead. Could be man, woman, them, associated with notebook. To my friend Nelligan, 1883. Dawson. It's more like Dawson is not dead. So, could be man, woman, them, Dawson. I'm not going to put Dawson down. I'll put as one of the lines, Kid is an associate. Not going to put down father. So, the kid is not the murderer or the blind or red herring. So there we go. So let me continue the story and I'll come back to my notes tomorrow. Or I add to my notes later on today. No more writing. Let's get into the book right now. Or should I say the story right now? A piece of stock exchange certificate belonging to Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR, was found inside the Sea Unicorn ship's log. Canadian Pacific Railway. Okay, so Sea Unicorn is going to Norway, Canada is on the other damn side. So someone originally came from Canada. Stock exchange certificates. Well, this is in the age of digital transference, so you would have to actually physically be there or have a courier bring you the stuff and mail it to you. Stock exchange certificate belonging to the Canadian Pacific Railway. So someone used to work for the Canadian Pacific Railway and is now on the ship. Don't see how that's related, but because there's nothing in the story said anything about anyone going to Canada or being part of Canada or having associations with anything that has to do with Canada or any railway whatsoever at all. August 1883. So, Canadian Pacific Railway, certificate for Canadian Pacific Railway, and the bottom part of the certificate has been torn out. The bottom part indicating who it belongs to, who the certificate belongs to, who lived in Canada, who worked in Canada. Part of this, the railway is indicated on the certificate. Highly unlikely is Peter Carey because unless he could be in two places at once, captain of a seafaring ship and being part of a railway, it's not likely to be him. Could be Mr. Joshua Milligan, but he was a banker. I mean, if my memory serves me correctly, he was a banker in England, and he has nothing to do with Canada, unless he has certain certificates of once working in Canada or doing dealings as part of a railway job in Canada, which he had a certificate for, and it's a bond certificate. So investment bond certificates So if it's an investment bond certificate, like it could be worth thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even hundreds of thousands. The name of the person. Well, if it's actually an investment bond certificate, it's pretty much useless if you just tear it. It's not usable anymore. You would have to have the original copy in order to say that, hey, I got something like this. So the person didn't probably care about the certificate itself. They cared more about someone knowing that who the certificate belongs to, not where the certificate came from. Maybe some forgeries is going on here. I mean, it seems more logical that it would tie to Joshua Nelligan than towards any of the crew members, the harpooners, the um, stewards, the first mate, so on and so forth. None of that seems to make sense on their account, or even Peter Carey's account. Nelligan is the only one that would make sense. Either Nelligan, Dawson, or someone that was on that ship that did belong on that ship as well. Emma Kesey, maybe. Or Keys. Can't be the wife of Peter Carey. They got married in a place that's unassociated with Canada. But there's no information with regards to the wife not being on Peter Carey's ship in 1883. There's nothing to refer to her being on the ship in 1883 when Mr. Joshua Nelligan decided to hightail it out of there. Her proficiency only says that she, makes bird cages. She's retired and she's probably the gardener of the place. So it's highly unlikely it's hers anyway. She doesn't strike me as the money greedy, hungry type. Look, if there's two people that showed up here and did a, stabbing, it would make sense that two glasses. But it's highly unlikely that I would believe that someone like Peter Carey will whip out two glasses for for two people to drink and not have a third cup for himself. Like, he is an alcoholic, so he would want to drink with his fellow buddies if they were buddies. So there should be three glasses, which means there are only two people. Or, surprise bitch, was one person, but someone else came to help him out. Someone standing outside, maybe. That's too neat and too tidy. There would be a struggle. No matter how fast the person would run in to assist, there would be a struggle. This table would be knocked over. Something over here would be knocked over. The wall would be damaged. Now here, it looks like the wall is damaged here. On this side. But this doesn't look like a damage from a fighting. This looks like damage from corrosion due to weathering. But I've noticed on the wall all around, just like the first playthrough I've noticed, it's the only place on the wall that's damaged. That's not coincidental. Or maybe the person who designed the game decided to make a fault. So let's look up, shall we? Let's see. The design of the game says composure of this size, or not composure, but connection of this size and this size and this wall and this wall. All the same. Some little debris and corrosion here for rain or snow or whatever. And of course, a nice little knapsack and personal goods are above. It's just fascinating to me that Holmes didn't even decide to look up or anything. Like, there's tons of things in here, but it doesn't really matter because there's also tons of things on the floor. So, look like a suitcase. Like if you were to hide something, it would be hide not on the ground. It would be hide above, in case. But that's too easy. Way too easy. And too obvious. So the only thing standing out with regards to the construction of this room is that this right here seems to be damaged wall, either due to years of damage, which means the person who made the game decided to make it that way, or this actually means something, that damaged section of the wall. Which means if a struggle did happen, this would indicate at the side of this wall, that's where the struggle happened. Person got thrown against the wall here, the wall got damaged. The fight actually happened here. For some reason he got skewered here. What is this? Is that a whale? That looks like a whale. But I don't believe that I don't believe any of this is true. I believe it's just a design flaw or an intentional design structure to make it look the way it does.
This window is locked from the inside. I do not see any attempt at a break-in.
Exactly. So if someone did try to help our first drinker guy, he wouldn't be able to come in from the window because it's locked from the inside. And he set up a trap using this window. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Let's see. Scan this all. Well, I did all this already, but like you see when I said the last video that he's blocked off by the garden, like there literally is nothing blocking him from walking this way. It makes no sense. The design is stupid. It could literally, I mean, maybe not over the cabbages, but here, I mean, if these are carrots stuck into the ground, it's one thing. Even the cabbages, I mean, I don't understand. I wonder why that cop was standing here, as if this hut was relevant or something, but maybe it was just a structure of him being here, because The game wanted to put police officers on the site. I'm probably not allowed to investigate the home itself. It's not relevant to the story. Possibly. It's just a set piece. There's so many vanishing points and a good vantage areas. Well, I don't believe I'm allowed to. Yeah, I'm not allowed to. Alright, so there's nothing really here. So let's get back on track. Wiggins might help to find the crew of the Sea Unicorn. He should be somewhere at Baker Street. Yes. Okay, so the game is trying to connect like the sailors to the time period in August where there probably weren't a certain group of sailors. Suggesting that certain sailors were either killed or they left the ship. I mean, Peter Carey made it back. The only thing I would say that makes sense with regards to any of the sailors is that the harpooners, it could have been one of the harpooners. A disagreement, somewhat, a discovery of treasure. Rather than help this guy pay off his debt, decided to keep it to himself. Peter Carey wanted to defend the guy or something like that. Tit for tat. Certain people didn't like it. 1 year later, 1884, he got ganked by one of the harpooner guys. It's too easy. It's too easy if that's the case. Framing one of the harpooner guys is more likely the case. And the harpooner guys letting the kid take the fall is also more like the case. Let's go check out Mr. Wiggins. Okay, so I thought as much. If Peter Carey is not a smoker anymore, he doesn't smoke anymore, he might have given his pouch to someone who kept it, someone who was on the ship, the Sea Unicorn, one of his buddies on the sea. So we'll see how that works, but no, no. It says non-smoker. They're not related to each other. So you can't. I swear to God, man. Like, internet is so shitty. And it's unassociated with that too. So 1, 2, 3. All are unassociated. So breaking the temp is not associated with the smoker. It's not associated with the box. It's not associated with no gardener. So breaking the temp they won't be connected to each other. No gardener is also not associated with any of the three. I remember that from the last time. So missing tint box and Peter Carey is not a smoker is also not associated with each other. So none of them are associated with each other. So missing tint box is not associated with any. No guard is not associated with any. Non-smoker and breaking a temp. So I'll do it exactly the way it shows. None works together. 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 So at least I'm happy about that. So the missing piece is that something is out of place. Something that's Holmes basically knows. It doesn't make sense. And what doesn't make sense is you cannot say the person who...
Something new, Watson. I have the list of sailors who were aboard the Sea Unicorn. We shall soon learn what happened to Nelligan's father. I have only to find them. Let us hope they are still working at the harbour.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard...
I doubt it, Watson. And really, I would prefer that all of this remains quiet for now. But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
And who might they be?
The secret police division of Baker Street.
Ah, you mean young Wiggins and his gang?
Yes. Believe me, you'll receive more useful assistance from these little urchins than from a dozen yard detectives. Those children are everywhere. They see and hear everything, and they are cunning. All they lack is organization. I'll summon them.
How will you do that?
There is always a watch beneath our window. I have only to call him.
Okay, so Holmes has his little birdies out there. That's fine. So, going back to it. Breaking attempts is not associated with the box. And the box is not associated with smoker, and the smoker is not associated with gardener. None of them are associated with each other. So basically the game is saying you cannot say the person who has the cigarette case with Peter Carey's initial is the same person that took the box, because that's an assumption. You can't say the person that broke in also is the person that took the box, because that's also an assumption. You also cannot say that the person who's the gardener or who did the garden or the non-gardener is the person that took the box. So none of those things are connected, which makes perfect sense from my point of view. Because when you're deducing things, you have to have things that makes exact sense. And none of those things make exact sense. For instance, the cigarette case, Peter Carey, the person who had it could have been the kid, could have been the killer, could have been the wife, could be anyone. And the person who stole the thin box is more than likely the killer. Well, the killer doesn't have to be someone who is associated with gardening, is associated with Peter Carey's pouch. None of that are related to. I swear to God, I really don't understand the internet. It could be 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's ridiculous. Or maybe, or maybe it's the obvious. Maybe, just maybe, the people within my vicinity online at both morning, afternoon, and evening, that you are literally interrupting someone else from being online because, you know, or the bandwidth of the area is interrupted by other people's bandwidth because everyone's online. Like, I literally have to wait for a certain time period where no one is awake or assume that it's the best time to do something. Like, like no one seems to have a life, man. That's why I focus on my work most of the times, and I try to do things like this at various different periods. Some in the afternoon, some in the evening, because you never know when. You have to like work around the logic of the world.
My archive. I can always consult with. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. My analysis table. It is useful for my work.
Now the last the last video I decided to wear the white, so hopefully there's blood splatter or something that get onto his clothes. But apparently people who made the game weren't thinking that complicated. They weren't thinking that far. They just, you know, focus on the game itself. Don't go too far away. But you know, this internet is really pissing me off. It's really upsetting me. Keep going back and forth, back and forth. I think I'll stop for right now. It's getting real blurry and really fucking annoying. I have to wait for whatever douchebag is probably online right now, occupying a lot of space where I can't even do proper Wi-Fi. Like, it's so weird because in the evening it's the same thing. So you're telling me I come home from work in the evening, the douchebag or douchebags are on, and I go get up in the morning and the douchebags are on. In the afternoon they're on as well. But like, you could tell when people don't have a fucking life because they're always online. Like, go and do some workout or something, you lamos. I hate people like that. I'll wear standard clothing with Holmes for right now. Or maybe, well, I'm not trying to go incognito. I'm not staying at home anyway. Yeah, average day, this is about fine. Wait, what? Yes, I selected. I have to solve the crime before I could change into my outfit? What kind of bullshit is that? Alright, so I'm gonna take a point from the game. Like, if he has clothes in his closet, and I want to put on clothes in his closet, it has nothing to do with the crime itself. Maybe disguise, yes, but his average attire, no. Alright, so I was at 6.2 with regards to the game. I'm back down to a 6.1. That's very dumb. This I understand. I guess the wardrobe is associated with his disguise as well, so maybe it's not as, you know, I won't take a point away from that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the wardrobe is associated with the disguise, both together, and I would have to solve it. I wonder if I stop. You know what? I'm gonna stop this video and I'll restart it, and I'll start it again and see if the blurriness will go away.